Hello, everyone. Welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Siddharth Agarwal, who is the founder of Mobicule, which is a debt collection platform, and they also do debt recovery and reconstruction. Uh, Hi, Mr. Siddharth. Welcome to the show.
Hey, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, good. Yes, tell me.
I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience and a little bit about your platform.
Okay, great. Thank you for inviting me for this discussion. I am Siddharth. I run this venture called Mobicule. We are one of the most promising upcoming platform when it comes to debt monitoring, collection, and recovery. Okay, and large banks, NBFCs, public sector banks, cooperative sector banks. This is our target audience. They typically use our platform to engage with their customers when the customer gets overdue, or probably to predict the behavior of the customer, whether he will default on a loan, and to collect the EMI. So that's the broad what we do. Okay, we are a 16-year-old venture. So we are not your typical startup. We're upstart, I would say, basically in the establishing phase, growing rapidly in the last couple of years post COVID, because I think collection tech has got the visibility, or probably, yeah, I look at it, it's a cycle, how things get automated and digitized, and, the importance changes.
Mhm.
So that's the rough background, roughly some 300 plus people across India right now. We will be scaling internationally very soon. So going to other similar markets in Southeast Asia, Africa, as we progress in our journey.
Got it. Before we start talking in detail about Mobicule, थोड़ा हम आपके बारे में भी जानना चाहते हैं कि what all did you do before starting Mobicule? I think आपने इंडिया का काफी जाने माने SaaS कंपनीज के साथ भी काम किया था. Where you got exposure into technology. क्या प्रोफाइल में क्या क्या सब आपने काम किया था before becoming a founder?
I am a computer science graduate from Siddharth Patel, a 2002 batch, basically. So had the luxury of being in one of the top colleges. Obviously, had the kind of exposure. But I took a little bit of a different path. Obviously, and my entire batch would be in top positions right now. Probably a few of them still running some good ventures overseas, because a typical path in our days was you do a BE and then either do a MBA or probably do a MS in computer science through some foreign university. I somehow, it didn't give me the kick I wanted to. Probably I bet on India before a lot of people bet on India.
Mm-hmm.
Would be the key to our success, probably. So early days, so you mentioned a lot of established. I managed to work with a lot of startups actually. So there's
Okay.
a connection there. So companies like Zycus, which are
That's
very
a good company now. Like it's
yeah,
well
yeah, now,
known.
yeah. So you're looking at from the current lens. I was in the 2002 to 2005 period. So they were, young companies, and I think that was the biggest asset for me, because it was a young company. You get a lot of exposure, lot of growth, which is, what we also try to do with people who are there with us right now.
Mm.
So I was with Zycus in the early stage, which is in the supply chain. Then moved to a company called Mises, which is was the IIT Bombay startup in
Mm.
telecom. So supply chain telecom, and then a very large company now, Minecraft, which is into the
Mm.
space. So I got the relevant exposure on product and services side.
Okay.
And then I started my first venture, which did not work out with a business partner, 2005 to 2008.
What was the business?
It was a services business, basically. Just started around trying to provide IT services on specific areas in supply chain and telecom to customers. It didn't work out, failed partnership, I would say. I think it always gives you a perspective as you move on.
Mm-hmm.
2008 is when we put together Mobicule, co-founded with a very close friend of mine, who we we went to junior college together. To Yatin Pednekar, who is a good friend and a co-founder. This so between us, I take care of the front ending. He manages the back end. That's how we started the company, and then obviously we moved along, and did the growth. And 2008 to obviously now 24, 16 years has been the journey. We were blessed to have some very good people in our team. In fact, the company is still the core members of the team. They are there with us for the last, I think, 12 or 10 to 12 years now, and they run some of the critical parts of the product right now. So we are all technologists by background.
Mm-hmm.
We learned business as we started selling technology because that was the need of the hour. And I think we are still learning. So we are learning how to grow it and how to take it to at a global scale. So that's the background.
Got it. So 2008, I think that was the time when the financial crisis, Lehman Brothers and all happened.
Yes, correct. You are
So
right.
probably that was the time when people lost jobs, and probably I'm assuming there would be a spike in the bad loan. Was it the reason why you started into this particular domain?
Correct. So I think I should appreciate the knowledge on the subject. Very few people know that was a period where there was a financial crunch. So actually, we started at the wrong time, to be honest with you. In perspective, it looks like a good time because it taught us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But 2008 was a tough period globally, and same stayed true for the Indian market as well. But if you scroll back to 2008, I think we didn't have the startup culture in India, right? It was
Right.
a time where we used to trust global products, and there wasn't the startup, the funding, and the noise and the ecosystem which exists now, which is very good now. Obviously, it is scaling very well. So we started at that time. So maybe the start was a little bit tough, but that prepared us for the longer haul, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't start with debt collection. We actually started with a combination of supply chain and telecom put together. So we were one of the pioneers, or we were the pioneers. I think pioneer means we were the ones basically. So we brought business on the mobile when people were doing games, and VAS services were very famous at that time. Ringtones and games were very famous.
Mm-hmm.
We cut ourselves out saying that you can transact on this mobile phone. Now, obviously, those days it was Nokia phones, feature phones were there.
Mm-hmm.
So I say this on all my discussions. We were laughed at. कि, okay, इससे कैसा business होगा? It is not possible to. How will this phone you can do business? But there were visionaries in the market. Brands. There was Nokia's largest distributor was our first customer. Shoppers
Mm-hmm.
Stop, Kingfisher Airlines. Multiple Asian Paints. These are our earlier customers, Usha fans. They saw this as the future, and they gave us the opportunity. So we had a product which used to automate the sales function, which is getting an order from the supply chain. It was a big challenge in a geography like India. That
Mm-hmm.
was our claim to fame. That is where we started. That product still exists. It is now called Niti, which basically is a strategic KPI and governance tool right now. Besides the debt collection, it comes bundled with the debt collection as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is the period of 2012 to 15 where we kind of conceptualized the debt product, right?
Okay.
And went on the debt collection. So there again, we were whatever we have done so far, we have been a little bit ahead of time. That
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a drawback because then you have to explain, set the path. The marketing has to be right. You have to, do a lot of early proof of concept so that customers can understand. But then it gives you the edge in the long run because you are like the first mover in that space. So debt collection from using field applications, using mobile technology was absolutely not heard of. I am all talking on the Indian market, right? We
Mm-hmm.
born brought up made in India, Bharat kind of a company. So in those days, debt collection was not a fancy space to be in, right? Then obviously people were more focused on how to have a CRM or how to acquire customers, how to do the lending and give credit to the customers, right? That was the need of the hour, and people were focused on that. I think we made a call early saying that finally, if we grow as a country, there will be a lot of lending or credit that will be given. and there
Mm-hmm.
has to be somebody who has to streamline the collection part of it. So
Right.
that's the period in 2015, where we started with one of the large private sector banks in India. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
from there, I think our debt collection story started, and it's been a great, 10 years or 11 years from there, how we have, moved up and, done a value add in the domain, basically.
Got it. So, can you explain a little bit about the whole debt collection process? Like, who are the stakeholders involved, and what are their pain points, and where do we come in? What all problems do we solve for them?
Correct. Correct. So I'll keep it very simple. You would have multiple target audience here, right?
Mm.
A regular consumer, people like us who take loans probably. So you can take a very simple example of somebody's taken a bike and a bike loan, right? A two-wheeler
Mm-hmm.
loan, right? Now, the bank, a large bank may do lakhs of loans in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A smaller NBFC may do tens and thousands of loans in a year, right? Just the volume of the scale of the number of loans given changes. This is
Mm-hmm.
basically a retail product, what I'm talking about. That is where the volumes are, and that is where a software or a solution is required, where it is a relationship based. Software has a role, but it has a much smaller role to play at the back end. It doesn't interact with the consumer so much.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in the simple business of collecting EMIs, okay, but we do it in a technology backed fashion, okay, and the traditional way of collecting loans, calling people, people visiting, is now rapidly evolving. There is a lot of digital. So you get a SMS with a link, you click, your UPI app opens and you pay. That is
Mm-hmm.
the baseline. So as a consumer, if I have to look at it, the role play, what do I want, right? People, if you look at the industry, if 100 people have taken a loan, right? Maybe 12 or 15 don't pay it. I wouldn't call it a default. I would say, because banking terminology calls it as a default. But
Mm-hmm.
somebody, you miss your date. So fifth is your date of EMI and you have missed your date. So
Mm-hmm.
in banking terminology, you are delinquent or you are defaulted on your date, basically.
Okay.
But these, out of these 10, 15 customers, 80% end up paying within the month, right? This is global science. It is nothing to do with this. Obviously, in tougher times, that 80% will become probably 75%, and the percentage is very here and there based
Mm-hmm.
on how the economy is doing. If then sometimes the economy is doing too well, still
Mm-hmm.
a problem, right? People are taking more loans, so there are more defaults. And when of that the economy is not doing that well, definitely there are floods, there are famines, there are crop cycles, there are weather changes which impact all these things as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're talking about an agri loan, we are very strong on the rural loan side when it comes to tractor loans, agri loans, crop loans, the gold loans, basically.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our customer portfolio on that side. So even rural customers. Now, as a consumer, the initial challenge in early days, if you remember, that if you missed a loan, the biggest problem is now how do you pay it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Are you, we were not tech, people who are not tech savvy, they don't know, right? I can go to a bank's website. Then again, you have to remember the loan account number, have a login. It
Mm-hmm.
was cumbersome. It is cumbersome. Or you need to know the account details, and it has goes into the loan account. It doesn't go into a saving account which you have. It has to be credited to your loan account so
Mm-hmm.
that you pay the loan. Or then you are waiting for somebody to call you or an agent to come to you. So it is a pretty cumbersome process if you missed
Mm-hmm.
this, right? Miss the cycle. So a win-win for the consumer as well as the bank is make it convenient for you to pay. So how do we make it
Right.
convenient? Very simple. By technology through your preferred channel, either SMS, email, IVR, WhatsApp, voice bot. You will get a communication where you know exactly how to pay. There is a link. You click on the link, your UPI app opens and you pay. You've taken out the entire hassle of you remembering anything. We reach out to you at your convenient time through technology and AI. This is all possible now at your
Mm-hmm.
convenient time at your preferred channel. So, for example, I am better on email. I prefer that everything comes on email and I click an email and I pay on a larger screen. I sell mobile technology. I still prefer the larger screen though. And you may be more okay, WhatsApp aa gaya, I'll click on that WhatsApp and I'll pay the link, pay on
Mm-hmm.
that. So Next time, the software will send you a WhatsApp and send me an email, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You make your payments early in the morning. I make my payments maybe at lunchtime, because that's a time when I have a few 10, 15 minutes odd available where I want to wrap up my daily course. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe if I miss something, I would look at that time. So you would get a reminder in the morning. Next time, I will get a reminder at lunchtime. So this is just a simple example how technology can play a role, and how probably AI can play a role as well. It's because the platform learns the user behavior, adopts to the user behavior. So now what has happened is, as a consumer, even if you have missed your date, you have a place to go and pay without you bothering. The system will manage that process for you, right? For a farmer who doesn't know technology, who doesn't want to do it, if the agent is going completely secure through an app, his outstanding is available, he's flashing the QR code over there, you can scan and you can pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
No fraud angle, nothing. You get a receipt, you get the intimation that account is credited, everything is fully tied up end to end. So there is no scope of any money moving out of the system as well. Some frauds happen due to some reasons, but then again, more or less the entire things happen. The people are innovative, right, when they do the frauds as well. So so that's in it for the consumer. What's
Mm-hmm.
in it for the lending institute, which is the bank or this? Now this whole process.
Just one interruption before we go on to the institutions. You spoke about fraud. One doubt here. You send payment links through WhatsApp and SMS, and sometimes what happens, uh, there are some fraud parties who
Correct.
also send
Correct.
payment links, and when
Correct.
you click on that, you directly go to the UPI screen, and there is very less chance to verify whether it is a genuine link or not. So how do you tackle with that?
In our case, first of all, this is bank grade technology regulated by RBI. So there are very strict norms in terms of security and seepage and all that. So first of all, it is tough to crack what we have. Again, having said that, nothing is uncrackable, right? There are still instances where it happens, but then there are very minute percentage. You have 0.001% chance of something
Mm-hmm.
getting cracked. Second, when the message comes to you, it comes from the bank. We are just a platform. So a Mobicule
Mm-hmm.
doesn't reach out to you. If you
Okay.
have a loan of a ICICI bank, I'm not naming any of my customers, so don't keep that. Let's say ICICI Bank or some Bank of Mauritius. I'm taking some weird names. You get a message from there. It is by the bank. We on their web page. You click. You see your loan number. You see your outstanding. You click. So we give you the comfort that we know what you are, right? So if you're, I'm showing you your loan account number and your outstanding. If I
Mm-hmm.
have access to the information, I'm the right person reaching out to you, right?
Correct.
It does happen in your utility bills, or sometimes somebody sends some furious emails, but then again, they don't have your outstanding details,
Mm-hmm.
right? One of my advices to people who want to avoid frauds is how much details you see there. Try to verify the details. Typically, the fraud messages is like, oh, something has gone wrong, why don't you pay? Or your bill is
Mm-hmm.
not paid, why don't you pay? There are no details in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it happens, they get hold of the details and then send you the details, but that is very rare scenarios. So there is full comfort for the consumer. Everything is goes through proper mechanism. It is available. You see your loan outstanding, you click, you pay. If it is a ICICI bank loan, you will end up seeing their logo. If it's a WhatsApp reach out, it is coming from the ICICI bank handle. It won't come from some random number, right? You will
Mm-hmm.
have ICICI handle. You can verify it very well. Everything is well sorted, and it goes through a regulated process. And even the verbiage that I use, right? It is finally regulated. So everything goes through a set process, and the way you are doing internet banking, it is exactly the same, right? The risk
Mm-hmm.
involved in internet banking is exactly equal to the risk what is involved over here. So that is how we take care of this. I hope I'm able to shed light on what you were trying to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Now please go on to the next
Going
part.
on the second part, so you said role. So this is the consumer who's the center. Now, traditionally, the consumer has been on the receiving end when it comes to collection. What
Mm-hmm.
we are trying to change, make him the center and then move things around him, right? Because a customer success or a happy customer, he may have defaulted, but understand if you look at larger banks, as in the country, the end default rate is like 1.5% or 2%, which means out of the 100 people, one or two probably end up defaulting on a very long.
Hmm.
So that doesn't make the rest of the 98 bad, right? So now, out of that 12 or 15 that defaulted, the two are the ones which are going to absolutely not pay. I'm just going by the numbers that are there.
Hmm.
But the rest of the 12, 14, right, that are there, they need a way and mechanism to pay again. Now, the payment, you could have missed out your payment, money lying in some other account, your salary may be delayed, you may have a slight cash flow problem, right? Which are all genuine reasons for that. Is not a defaulter. He's just delayed, right?
Hmm.
We are making it easy, one for the consumer. Now, for the institution, there is a huge cost involved in recovering. If you have defaulted, first of all, they're losing money because if the money doesn't come back, there is interest, there is a chance risk, there is
Hmm.
some, after a certain number of days, the bank needs to write off, a portion that amount so that hits their balance sheet. So there is a cost to recover, right? They would have a contact center, a field guy coming, that is cost to recover the loan. So what we do for the institution is a single place where this entire thing is centrally managed. Your cost of collection comes down, your efficiency of collection, which means the how much time the customer takes to pay, that comes down. So
Hmm.
finally, it is a improvement in the entire cash flow for the bank, basically.
Hmm.
And obviously, they are having a good department who handles this. So probably they need lesser people who can focus more on the lending rather than on the collection, and the software, or we take care of the collection. So what we do also do is wherever services are required, so if you need a contact center, we have a trained contact center. If you need field staff, we have trained staff who are this is a regulated field. There you
Hmm.
have to be DRA certified if you are going to collect to consumer. There is a etiquette that has to be followed and things like that. So we also
Hmm.
take care of that. So this is for the institution. So there are two major parties, obviously lender and the guy who is taking a loan. So the consumer and the lender, these are the two main parties. We are just like a middle platform, which is enabling this transaction to be smooth, done in
Hmm.
the best manner. Okay. Then obviously within a bank, there are multiple players. There is a risk officer, there is a collection manager, there is a business head who has different things at stake, for which obviously we have the relevant features.
Hmm.
Um, then going into recovery, we just don't do collection, we do recovery as well, which means you've gone above 60 days, you want to close the loan, which is called settlement in a banking parlance. So we
Hmm.
help you do that. The bank has to go legal by law after some point of time if you're not paying, because it's money which they've lended, it's not their money,
Hmm.
right? So they've lended you some money which has to be recovered. So you have to go legal. We take care of that process. Sending out legal notices completely automated on our platform. So this is the benefit for a lending institution, which is a large bank or NBFC over there. So that's the broad role play. We can dive deeper. Probably will require one more session altogether. But yeah, I tried to cover both ends of the story.
Got it. And thanks for explaining it to me. The next question I want to ask you is so Indian scenario. I think uh, financial industry in India is quite advanced compared to other markets. We have the UPI, where we have the so now if you want loan, you can get loan up to 20 lakh also, just within a few clicks. If you have the required credit rating, it will
Correct.
be credited within 1 minute, and I have tried that also.
Correct.
So so much efficiency right now. Where do you see the future? Like, is there any further scope of improvement? I think we are already very efficient compared to any other market.
So you are absolutely right. In fact, there is a global fintech festival which happens, which is one of the largest in the country. I think our honorable prime minister spoke yesterday at that event. We were all there. I think all of fintechs were there. So you are right. Fintech is a revolution in India. UPI is at the at the core of it basically. Now we talk about Aadhaar UPI. Now there is a third one which is called as UPI-based lending ULI interface, which has just been launched by our governor, RBI governor, I think, at the
Hmm.
start of this week. If you look at it, yes, we are far advanced. And whatever you mentioned, all this change in COVID. right? So pre-COVID, if you remember, everything was signed. You have to get a document, physical copies have to be submitted, you have to do a KYC. COVID changed everything because you were sitting at home, but you wanted a loan and things had to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had a video KYC, you are sitting at home, there is an app opening, or you are going to a website, there is a camera opening, it is taking your picture, video, you're showing your Aadhaar card, and done. And as you said, in a minute, the loan lands in you because your credit ratings are checked. You are eligible to get a loan, and the loan is credited to your account, right? That's the beauty. And I think we are far advanced. We are much ahead in this, just like, Aadhaar and UPI, where we are doing the payments, we are much ahead even in the loan offering process.
Mm-hmm.
Now, answer a question, what's the future? There is a lot more to be done. What we are talking about is people like you and me who have the access, who have the credit rating. There are a lot of people who don't even have a credit rating,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, as I think it is, rightly said, there is two parts. There is India and there is Bharat, right? So India is probably I we should not count it that way. We are also Bharat as well. But people like us who have access to the internet, understand these things, understand what a credit score is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe be a small percentage of the total, right? I'm not the right person to put a number over there, but we may be 10, 15, 20%, maybe 30% on the higher side. I do not know the number. There is
Mm-hmm.
a another 70, 80%, which is not under this paradigm, which also requires loan, right? So there are these micro loans that are happening right now. So if you have a small stall, a street vendor, he may not need 20 lakhs, he may need 2 lakh or 5 lakh as a loan, right? How does he get a loan? He doesn't have the papers, he doesn't have the credit score. How does he get a loan? So this is what is changing, and this is where fintech or technology is taking it. Even this guy should be able to get a loan. Now, how do you get him a loan? He does UPI. उसके stall पे आप जाते हो, वड़ा पाव खाते हो, you make a payment. He has a UPI history, which is what is ULI, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you look at his UPI balance, you will see at his UPI transactions, and you know, okay, on an average, this guy sells 3 lakh rupees of vada pav every month. So he can afford to take a loan of 2 lakhs a month, something of that sort. Obviously, credit
Mm-hmm.
landscape work in a different way. He may be eligible for a 5 lakh loan for 2 years, 3 years period on an EMI basis. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where it should go, right? You talk about a fisherman, you talk about, there are multiple people who don't have banking history, they don't have credit scores, right? This is where the next revolution is. This is what it is about, how the financial inclusion or the financial distribution is going to happen. So this is where all this is going. It's already going, right? While we speak, it's already happening. A
Mm-hmm.
percentage of the people have already been brought into this, and it will continue to happen. And it's a long way to go. It's not going to happen in the next 1 or 2 years. We have a long, roadmap to cover. Again, if I look at it from our business perspective, the more of this that happens, more of collection will need to be happen, and we'll have to be more innovative in dealing with this because it's a smaller loan now, so you can't spend that much. I can't probably there are language barriers. So, for example, our platform would also have the language pack with it. So, if I am sending out, if you talk to the voice bot in a certain language, I will next time call you in that language, right? The
Mm-hmm.
bot will talk to you in that language.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how things are going to go. Obviously, there is going to be more innovation, digital currency, crypto, which is going to add to the mix, and things are going to change. But far, far away from traditional banking. Now we are in an age where it is going to be digital. We are already digital, everything, right? Every person needs to have access and have access the way you said just now. Okay, I got it in 1 minute. So the
Mm-hmm.
same thing should be for a farmer. The same thing should be for a street vendor who's selling vada pav, who's selling umbrella outside the some station. So it should be the same thing for everybody. And this is where I think the success of this industry is going to be defined.
Got it. So UPI based lending, that is something new for me as well. I was not aware of it. Can you tell a little more about it? I think many of our audience would be very interested to listen on
There is
this.
something called as ULI, which has been very recently launched. So I don't know when you will take this live, but it was launched date wise. I think at the start of this week, Monday. I think around 23rd or
Mm-hmm.
24th, basically. It was
Okay.
launched by the RBI governor, which is it will be linked to your UPI spend. You can
Mm-hmm.
lend that way based on the UPI. I'm also not a subject matter expert on that, but
Mm-hmm.
broadly, the way you are able to pay a loan or you're able to buy something, you'll be able to get a loan as well very quickly, right? Which is exactly so you have to go through a certain process, right? To process be cut down हो जाएगा because if you already on a UPI, आपका KYC मुझे मालूम है because now KYC is
Mm-hmm.
mandatory
Mm-hmm.
for majority of the UPI apps. So I know your KYC already. Number one, you are transacting, you are buying a movie ticket. So I'm talking about audience like you and me. You are
Mm-hmm.
buying a movie ticket. You are paying for some restaurant. So I know your spend to a decent extent. So there is a certain eligibility that is getting built over there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Based on that, you will be able to take a loan. So, for example, if you want to buy your iPhone instantly on UPI, there is a loan which is immediately available because I know you're spending on UPI already, right? So,
Okay.
something like this at a very broad level.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, more details will flow as we move on in this space.
Got it. Uh, so this is probably my final question. Tell us, what are the other products or other plans that you have for Mobicule in the future? Like you mentioned that you are now geographically expanding, because I understand because you have built in India, your products are already very advanced, and you can take it out to other markets. It will work
I would
nicely.
interrupt you for that. I think 2008, it was just the other way around. It was built in India, so we were not very advanced. Now it is the other way. We say that if you are built in India, you are tried and tested, you can work anywhere in the world now because you handle volumes and complexity, which is not available
Right.
across the world. Yeah.
Yeah, but from a product point of view, what all have you planned from a feature level, or if there are any other modules you are expanding into?
So we have a very I think simple and a clear vision, right? When it comes to debt collection, everything around debt collection would be part and parcel of what we do. So when we started, we only had a field collection part where when a guy goes to the field, meets a person to get the payment, all functionality, all things that are required were part of the app. It graduated over a period of years, as digital push happens. So there is a digital collection, there is a contact center based collection, then the recovery parts of it, settling a loan, repossessing a vehicle, auctioning that vehicle,
Mhm.
then sending legal notices. We are now sending physical notices through our platform, fully integrated with India Post. There are more and more things which are there around this, right? Whether it is going to be dispute resolution, whether it is going to be the auctioning. So, for example, banks have hundreds, thousands of cars. There are platforms which auction it. Oh, can you
Mhm.
connect two of them? Yes, why not? Absolutely win-win for the consumer, for the bank, as well as for the aggregator who's doing the auction. It is a win-win for everybody.
Mhm.
So, we have a huge roadmap around this.
Mhm.
Then obviously the AI part of it will mature. So where the AI is playing a decent role right now, it will play a larger role. So
Mhm.
for example, as I told you, we know the behavior, so we'll be able to use this information while lending. So next time, if your payments were not so great, you will find it difficult to get a loan, right? So there will be a score part of it which we will feed to the bank's lending system. So all those aspects. Then predicting whether the customer will pay. So my voice bot is talking to you. It will do a sentiment analysis, which is already happening
Mhm.
in the platform, but this will become more and more mainstream. The tone that you talk, the way you reply to the voice bot, you're talking to a machine, right? So you have
Mhm.
no fear because you're talking to an agent and you are like calculated and you do that. When you're talking to a machine, you're just talking to a machine. The
Mhm.
machine will understand the sentiment, how you respond, and do a predictive score saying that, okay, this guy, what he's saying, he's going to pay on 21st, looks like he's going to pay on 21st, right? My
Mhm.
biggest problem is I have to predict if you're going to pay on 21st, great. If you're not going to pay on 21st, I have to call you again, okay, or remind you again. And there has to be a limit. I should not bother you. If you're going to pay on 21st, I should not be bothering you again and again. That is customer experience, right? So this is the roadmap, or this is
Mhm.
something, these are things which we are already touched upon. We're
Mhm.
already, it will
Right.
move. a larger scale, basically. So there are huge amounts of aspect. So not just growing horizontally across the different countries, vertically as well. It needs a lot of specialization and specific details in the product.
Right. Just one last question and then we will end. Uh, so, so over 2 decades of entrepreneurship experience, what have you learned about entrepreneurship? Like, who is an entrepreneur as per you, and what is the process of entrepreneurship?
So I think if I have to decide, tell the journey, it is a roller coaster, right? You don't know what's going to be the next turn that is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it an entrepreneur in a very simple way, one who can consistently perform, okay, stands the test of time, evolves as the market evolves, because anything, all the three things that I have told you so far, if you are not able to manage any of those, you will be unsuccessful. Obviously, you will make one more attempt, you will
Mm-hmm.
end up being successful at some point of time. Uh, so all these aspects, all the three aspects that I mentioned, right? Going through these is what an entrepreneur is. You may call him an opportunist. Seen an idea and then built on that idea. I don't look at it from that angle. An entrepreneur is not an opportunist. He's more of a person who he's seen an idea, thinks the idea has an opportunity, and believes in the idea. If you believe in what you're doing, and if you're doing something even slightly right, you will get through. I think that's entrepreneurship. This and nothing happens without compassion, right? So it has to be compassionate, whether you're dealing with your employees, your vendors, your customers. Compassion has to be part of it. So that's an entrepreneur for me in a very rudimentary way. If I have to define, I can't give you management lessons. I am not an MBA grad, nor did I spend some time over there. I learned on the job, on the fly, basically.
Yeah, I think that was beautifully explained, and I too also agree with what you just said. On this note, thanks for joining the session, Mr. Siddharth. It was a pleasure to have you on our
Great.
platform,
Yes.
and have a good day.
Great, great. It was nice talking to you. Thank you. Love to have more conversations like this as we go forward. Great.
Thank,
Thank you.
thank you.